Happy Self-Love Saturday, whoop whoop. Have you guys ever used a life coach? Have you ever considered using a life coach? Do you even know what they do? Let me know in the comments below if you've thought about this, if you've heard about them. Today, I'm doing a Zoom conversation with my friend, Jesse Rosenblatt, who happens to be a life coach. He's also a lawyer, and I met him through a project that we were both a part of, and he's just an overall motivational and inspirational and positive guy. And last year, at the end of 2019, he gave me some pretty life-changing advice or perspective to go into 2020 with. I thought that he was the perfect person to talk to and to share with you guys on this channel, since we are going after our dream lives. We are getting every single thing we want, and it's really about mentality and approach. And so why not talk to a life coach? That's a rhyme, and I didn't even plan it. Anyway, enjoy this conversation. I wasn't sure if you had known this, but last year when we had talked and it was like a consultation, you gave me, honestly, just the best advice.
Wow.
It changed my approach in the understanding of my thought around the kind of person that had success in comparison to myself.
Okay.
And how I was indirectly like pointing out all these traits of people that I thought were like successful people, and then denying them in my, like being like, well, I'm not really like that. Like that person is kind of like this, and I'm not really like this. And that person's like this, I'm not really like this. And so your advice was literally just to find people that I also considered successful, but that I also thought I was more alike, versus having this version of what you think you're not kind of thing. And it honestly, it changed everything for me. It just like made me be like, oh yeah. It's like you don't realize you're blocking yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you. I'm grateful for that. That's why I love what I do. And to hear that feedback is very valuable. So thank you. I really appreciate it. I think so often that what's valuable from talking to somebody else who has a different perspective and a different experience, and I think what makes somebody effective as a coach is being able to tell you things that nobody else is telling you, right? Or ask you questions that nobody else is asking, because we all get stuck in our patterns of how we see the world and what we think and what we believe. And until you interrupt that pattern in some way, or somebody gives you a different vantage point, it's very easy to just fall into the same routines, the same experience over and over. And most of those experiences that we have, we picked up from other people, right? We picked it up, our beliefs, or we picked up our thoughts about the world, or how it should be, or how people should be, from parents or from teachers or from clergy or whoever it is, right? We're never taught, hey, as an adult, you should stop. There should be a course that you have to take maybe at the end of high school, or I guess maybe it wouldn't even be valuable then because you haven't had enough life experience necessarily. But I feel like there should be a course that you have to take at some point as an adult that says, okay, analyze where you are, where you want to go, where you've been, what you think, what you believe, and then figure out how much of that really applies to you as the person you are. Because most of the time, that's all stuff that you picked up as a kid. And when you're a kid, you don't know anything. you don't know what the world's going to be like, or what you're going to think, or what you're going to believe. You have to accumulate all the experience of life to figure it out.
I oddly compare it to like being an actor. Like there's parts of the acting business you're gonna love, and then there's parts that you're gonna hate. But a lot of the time, actors, they'll like hate auditions, and they'll just have auditions, and they'll be so frustrated with their career, but they're going into this thing that low-key has the keys to their career, and being like, I hate it, and just like expecting a different result. And it's kind of like, where did you learn? Like how do you unlearn that is literally what's blocking you? Somebody can't be like, oh, I hate presenting a resume. And that's essentially the same thing. Like you have to be able to show them to some capacity that you can do it. So this is the chance. And I have this discussion all the time with my actor friends of like things that we hate and things that we have to do, and then being frustrated and being, and the moment I see somebody switch their thought process, instead of just living in the frustration, I see like everything will change for them. You probably get a lot of people coming to you when they're in a more frustrated place in their life, I'd imagine.
Right. Being a coach is just one part of what I do, right? Sometimes I'm a coach, sometimes I'm a teacher, sometimes I'm an advisor, sometimes I'm a consultant, sometimes I'm a sounding board, and I learned early on, I don't have to know anything about somebody's life or somebody's career. And sometimes it also works better if I don't. It might serve me better to have never really had to audition, right? To inform listening to somebody who's an actor, an actress, and process what they're going through and try to figure out what questions to ask them to get them to the other side of what you just discussed. And if you can shift, like you said, your perspective and say, okay, I'm going to learn something from this audition. And I'm going to come out, and the only question I'm going to ask myself, two questions I'm going to ask myself: did I do my best? And what did I learn?
Yeah.
And as long as you can answer yes to the first one and something about the second one, then it was a success, right?
I saw Ethan Hawke say, when your ego is in the way, like when somebody's giving you all these notes and you're like, I don't want to listen to this. I don't believe this, whatever. He says he tries to look at it as a test from the universe, that he has to learn something from at least one of the notes that somebody is giving him, especially if he doesn't believe it. If he's just, like, I don't agree with anything you're saying, I don't think anything is correct. Like, he has to learn. That is the approach, I guess, that I'm trying to have more so now. How did you get into this life coaching work?
I think if I were to ask myself honestly, I always innately knew that some part of what I loved was helping people.
Yeah.
And supporting people and listening and having a somewhat different perspective than a lot of other people that could be valuable. I put that away for a long time. So I went to law school, and I had this idea in my head that I wanted to be a film executive. And I didn't even really know what that meant. It just sounded cool. I loved movies. I wanted to be a film exec. And that was just something that, I had on my radar, and that was very laser focused on that. And through a bunch of twists and turns and a longer story, I ended up going to work for a bunch of big law firms doing nothing to do with entertainment law. But I had been told that was a way to, stepping stones to get you there. When I was 30, working as a head of a division for the Weinstein Company, which at the time was a pretty prominent film studio. Obviously, we can talk all day long about it now. But when I was in that job, I remember the very first day sitting at my desk, my little cubicle kind of thing, and thinking, wow, okay, I can now tell my children when I have them that you can really do anything you want to do in this world. I did it. I mean, I set this goal for myself. I was going to be a film executive, and I got there. But I was in this job over time, and I just realized it wasn't what I wanted, what I thought I wanted. I left that job, and over the next probably 10 years or so, or maybe even through today, truthfully, I started this amazing journey of exploration of humans and how people work and how we think and what we believe and why. There's that saying, you 10,000 hours to become an expert on something, right? I definitely did my 10,000 hours. It was courses and videos and seminars and books and listening to things. Along that journey, lots of amazing things happen. And I realized that because I've been somebody that from the outside you would look at and say, man, that guy's really successful. He's got it. He's, working at this job, or he's making this money, or he's, accomplished XYZ. I was not happy in any of those roles. And to me, I wasn't successful. I was this innately happy person who on the outside was miserable and complaining all the time. So through that journey of exploration of how we think and believe and operate, I realized one day, wow, I have been in the traditional kind of mainstream world of what success is taught to us looks like, right? And then I also have this amazing knowledge base of how humans operate and how spirituality plays into that, or mindset, if you don't want to call it spirituality. And so I realized I could really be valuable to people that are at some point in their life where there's something that they feel is missing. They're not happy. They're not in the relationship they want. Their body's not where they want it to be, their finances, their job. And I can really speak to that in a very helpful way, hopefully. And if you were to ask me, what's my job, right? What's my end goal, right? My end goal is to take you off of your default path, which almost all of us are on in some way, wake you up, do that interrupt I was talking about, and figure out what it is you really want, and then figure out what are the roadblocks that are preventing you from it, and then figure out a plan, an action plan to get you there. So it's kind of like project managing your dreams is kind of how I think of it.
We had talked, you just kind of asked me a series of questions and it just kind of leads to different answers and leads to this and leads to that. But I think the first one that you had asked me was really just like, why don't I have what it is that I want? I think in the like dissecting of your answers where eventually you kind of get to something.
I would say most people, it's some combination of limiting beliefs and past programming, which I guess is kind of the same thing in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's really just, you have some either limiting or conflicting beliefs. I want to be really successful as an actor, but I hate auditioning.
Yeah.
Right. Or I want to be really rich, but people with money are assholes. Or, there's that type of stuff that's it pulls you in both directions, right? So you can't necessarily move forward as fast as you'd like because part of you wants to go in each direction.
Yeah, it's like you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. That's how I look at it. It's like you're saying one thing and doing another.
Yeah, so there's that. Is if I were to grab 10 successful actors and put them in a room, each one's story would be so different. And yet we tend to think that there's just a path that's linear from A to B to C. And I do that and then I get to be successful. And that's not at all how it is. And everybody's so different. But yet we still think that, oh, if I'm not doing this step by this date, or I'm not doing it in this way, that somehow I'm not successful. Most people don't really ever stop to think about what they really want because they're busy and they're just doing what they're doing, and inertia has a way to carry you forward. But then what people say they want, and this was a big revelation for me in my life, it still is, what people say they want almost always isn't what they want. So if I say I want to be a successful actor, and I use that example, I don't believe that for almost anybody that's really what you want. I think you want what's on the other side of that. So, okay, I'm a successful actor. What does that mean? It means confidence. It means creativity. It means acclaim in some way or esteem from other people. It means financial security. It means all these things that are really feelings. And I don't believe that we do anything in life for the act itself. I think we do anything in life for the feelings we're going to get from that.
Yeah.
And again, nobody's taught that, right? We're taught that there's a reason you should want success, money, fame, whatever it is, and not really explore why we want those things.
Because I'm in this entertainment world, I meet a lot of people that will be like, oh, I want to be an actor. And I was like, you have to define that, because I know people who do 4 commercials a year and they are actors and they are successful, as in they don't have to do anything else. I know people that only do theater. I know people that are doing regional theater in Randomsville, Michigan, happy as could be, and they are an actor, right? So whenever I meet people that are like, oh, I want to be an actor, I'm like, if you do not define it, you will be very frustrated in this pursuit. You've kind of given me an aha of like really defining what it is you think, why you think a certain vehicle is to, getting you. Like some people want to be on a television series. They want the ease. You just want, I want to know for 6 months, I'm working here, I'm making this much, I can chill for the rest of the time.
If your version of success is limited to one identifiable version of your experience, so that could be this person in this relationship, that could be this amount of money in the bank, that could be this career that looks like XYZ, right? What you're doing as soon as you do that is limiting your happiness, because no matter what that is, no matter what that defined trait, defined experience is, you've now cut yourself off from lots of other ways that you could be happy. My coach just did this with me recently. I was talking about the 2 things that I spend a lot of my time doing, which is coaching and producing. And I labeled those as such, just for ease of conversation, right? And my coach said to me, why are you doing that? What are you really doing? What do you really enjoy? What do you really want? And kept drilling down deeper and deeper, and realized that I want to take the things that I've learned and the things that I enjoy being creative about and communicating, and translate them in a way that brings other people joy. That's it. If I can keep it that broad, right? Then if coaching went away tomorrow, if producing went away tomorrow, I will find another happy experience for my life that is that. And honestly, Being a dad is that.
Yeah.
Right. And so I get to do that every day, regardless of what my career is. Right. I found that, even though I didn't realize it at the time. Right. But it really is. And so I encourage everybody, really, because everybody could benefit from this, right? If you figure out what you want and what's on the other side of being a successful actor in this case, right? Then you can certainly take steps and pursue acting if it brings you joy. I encourage that for sure. But don't say it has to be acting.
Yeah.
Right? Because then what if you would find creative fulfillment in doing something totally different? What if you end up teaching kids theater and that's your outlet? So you're not acting at all, you're teaching. And the way to kind of test this for a lot of people is, and I hate to use money as kind of a barometer, but a lot of times if you say to people, oh, I want to be a successful actor. If I dropped $50 million in your bank right now, would you still want to be a successful actor? Would you still want to work? And a lot of people would probably say no, right? Which is one of my favorite quotes of all time is, a happy life is just a string of happy moments, but most people don't allow the happy moments because they're too busy trying to get a happy life. And I really do think that what success is happiness and how much you experience that. And so once you're limiting how much happiness you could have because your life has to look exactly a certain way, then you've just done yourself a great disservice, I think.
You have to find a lot of happy for yourself in order to be an actual successful person. And I think, for at least in my experience, anything that I've done that gives me joy or makes me feel successful ultimately gives me more confidence, which then ultimately it's like a ripple effect. Everything I do is better. Every conversation I have is better. Every person I meet is better. Every approach I have is better because I just feel very confident. And so I'm like, that's more my thing, because I've had a life before where I didn't have any confidence, and I saw the effects of that. I saw how it affected my health. I saw how it affected my days and my mentality, or just how I would drive, how I would sleep, all of those things. And so I had to start to look at it almost like you have to get daily movement. I'm like, you have to get daily joy. You have to something has to happen beyond just like, hey, you got to get a 1 mile walk in. You should also get like a 1 hour of joy.
It's really just trying to get out of your own way again. And instead of feeling the frustration about the timeline, just remember that the timeline is irrelevant because you got the crystal ball, right? You're going to get there. Yeah. It's just a question of when. And so every day could be the day.
You've given me, again, great insight. And I really appreciate it. I really, really do.
So if anyone wants to find me to explore possibly working together, they can go to www.coachmejesse, Jesse, like Jesse James.com. Or if you want to send me an email, you can just send to hello@coachmejesse.com. Hope that something in here was valuable to everybody who listened. Every time I watch something or listen to something, I just ask that I get one light bulb moment, something that makes me look at the world a little differently.
So once again, thank you to Jesse for being so open and honest and sharing all that he did. Let me know in the comments what part of this video you like the most. Also, thank you guys for watching. For those that don't know, my name is Andrea Lewis. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with any of your friends who you think may need it. Bye, guys.